What is up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another video here today. Hope all of you are having a good one. In today's video, I want to go ahead and discuss something that could really send Bitcoin's price to the moon. And I know you've heard that a dozen times. You're probably thinking, when exactly is the price actually going to grow upward? You know, when are we going to stop saying it's going to the moon and start seeing that it's going to the moon? And it could only be a matter of months, you know, or even up to a year, okay? The thing is, it seems as though this moon launching device, you know, this sort of catalyst, I suppose, that could push it majorly upward, is right around the corner. So we will have to wait and see how this develops. But one expert is actually very, very confident that this is going to be a thing that changes for crypto and that really makes a big difference and that pushes it majorly upwards. So with that being said, that's what we will be breaking down in this video. If you like the video, go ahead, drop it a like, subscribe, and share for more of those things to help us out a ton, and they are greatly appreciated. Let's go for 150 likes on this video, 5,000 views, and let's go ahead and talk about this major catalyst, okay? So, of course, what I'm referencing here is a Bitcoin-related ETF. There is one thing that we really still need to keep an eye on when it comes to Bitcoin's long-term growth, because as I've said a million times, you know, or possibly more, we need to focus less on the current and day-to-day price and more on the overall long-term movements that we could see in Bitcoin. And that honestly we probably will see. This is a very new technology, it's still developing, but it's growing at a pretty rapid pace, especially in terms of infrastructure. For example, right now in Venezuela, a ton of people are trading crypto, especially Bitcoin, despite it being pretty expensive to actually transact in. But people would rather do that than use their now almost virtually worthless currency that the state has provided. So once again, fiat is losing out when it comes to its overall price battle with Bitcoin and overall store of value, ability, I suppose. So what exactly is this expert talking about when it comes to long-term value potential? Well, I'm going to go ahead and reference a bit of an article written by Nick Chong for News Bitcoin that should give us a bit of background. So let's go ahead and read a bit further on. So all eyes may be on the Quadratus CX imbroglio, but talk regarding the implications that a Bitcoin exchange-traded fund, or ETF, could propose have continued. This isn't without reason, okay? It may seem like people are kind of backing up to their previous predictions and saying, yeah, a Bitcoin ETF will save us, you know, it'll push us forward and make big differences in Bitcoin's price, but this isn't unfounded, and that's something that we really need to realize. Since the Winklevoss twins effectively started the race for a publicly traded crypto fund deemed a paradigm-shifting product by Post, the subject has plagued the front pages of crypto's media outlets. Anecdotally, it has been said that the launch of such an investment opportunity could be the rocket booster that could take the industry to the proverbial moon. While discussions about crypto-backed ETFs are often imbued with an overarching sense of uncertainty and disbelief, a leading pro-crypto Wall Street investor claims that such a vehicle is virtually certain to eventually come out into existence. So in other words, he's not necessarily saying, yeah, this ETF's going to come out next week. He's saying eventually, you know, in terms of development and with the direction that Bitcoin and cryptos are going, this is a thing that's going to happen. It's only a matter of time before we do see a crypto ETF or a Bitcoin ETF coming into existence. It's something that people want, it's something that people would, really use on a large scale, and that is what really matters. So, reading on, okay, why exactly is he saying that the launch of a Bitcoin ETF is virtually certain? Well, the optimistic comment came by the way of Rick Edelman's appearance on CNBC's ETF Edge segment. Edelman, who runs a preeminent financial services company that shares his surname, told the financial outlet that there's an inevitability to a Bitcoin ETF, in spite of the current market concerns and conditions. So in other words, like I've said so many times, he's less focused on the current conditions. He's more focused on the long term, and he knows that over time, not necessarily over a very short period of time, but over the years to come, Bitcoin is going to be extremely prominent. It's going to basically dominate as a form of currency and as a major asset. So speaking with Bob Pisani, the Philadelphia native explained that a Bitcoin-backed product making it through the hoops the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission throws at it is a question of when rather than if. Edelman did laud the SEC's efforts to keep this nascent sector clean, though, likely referencing the fears of manipulation, a lack of liquidity, insufficient custodial offerings, and minimal market surveillance mediums. But those things are improving and will improve further into the future. So just as a side note, those things are concerns right now, but I don't think that they'll be concerns, forever. They're going to straighten out eventually. So, despite this, the Edelman Financial Services chairman commented that he's confident that eventually innovators in the space will push proper solutions to combat the SEC's harrowing concerns. He even noted that moves to leave the financial regulators' worries in the dust have already begun to come to fruition. So people are working on this. Okay, the ETF dream isn't dead. It's still being developed and it's still really being pushed for. So in response to a question regarding custody, Edelman name-dropped Fidelity, explaining that the Wall Street powerhouse is in fact nearing the launch of its digital asset-centric platform. Case in point, just a week ago, the Boston-based institution revealed that it will launch its crypto custody product in a few months, potentially by sometime in March. The American investor also lauded Kingdom Trust, along with a number of other very serious players in the custody field. He even noted that in very short order, Van Eck and its partners should be able to satisfy the SEC's qualms, effectively explaining that the SEC's custody box has been ticked. So basically what this boils down to is that many of these factors and these restrictions that the SEC was placing on these assets, in terms of becoming ETFs, are slowly being remedied, okay? Companies are basically building a case for the SEC to show that crypto is in fact very viable as an ETF vehicle. So Edelman continued on to say that from a fundamental point of view, institutional demand for solving crypto's issue only accentuates that there is capital, human resources, and energy backing a Bitcoin ETF. Thus, the investor concluded that, quote, eventually we will see a Bitcoin ETF, and it's at that stage that I will be more confident and comfortable recommending that ordinary investors participate. So Edelman's pro-crypto ETF comments come as another hopeful has joined the fray. According to a document filed to the SEC on Monday, Eric Irvin's Reality Shares, a crypto-centric investment services provider, a semi-Bitcoin ETF, is seeking to launch on the NYSE Arc. 15% of the fund's assets will be allocated towards CBOE or CME Bitcoin futures, while the remaining will be left for sovereign debt instruments denominated in fiat currencies like the British pound, Japanese yen, Swiss francs, along with money market mutual funds, which is a pretty good way of balancing that out, okay? That makes a lot of sense. So, while the product will only have a maximum 15% allocation into Bitcoin futures, some claim that this unique feature should allow the product to get a noticeable foothold in the SEC's chambers. And people do still really want to invest in Bitcoin and in cryptos. Per previous reports from News Bitcoin, a survey conducted by Bitwise Asset Management, a San Francisco headquartered crypto investment services provider, revealed that 35% of 150 financial advisors based in the US would advise their clients to purchase cryptocurrencies if an ETF saw a launch. 35%. Okay, so that would be a huge number of people getting in right off the bat. So Tom Linden, the head editor at ETFtrends.com, echoed this sentiment in an interview with CNBC. And Linden noted that 74% of the advisors his outlet has interviewed have talked to their clients regarding a Bitcoin investment, yet few have gone through with a bona fide allocation. But with this launch of an ETF, an allocation would become that much easier to procure. And I think people would go for Bitcoin ETFs. This is something that people really are interested in, and it's going to be very interesting to see how this develops. So basically, we just need to see the ETF become, commonplace and then implemented, and then essentially from there, I think a lot of people will be waiting on the sidelines to get in. So it's really only a matter of time before we see some really good growth relating to crypto ETFs. So anyway, folks, that is my opinion, of course, and as always, I want to remind all of you, do drop a like on this video if you like it, subscribe, and share for more. Those things help the channel out a ton, and they are greatly appreciated. So anyway, folks, I'll see all of you in the next video. Have a good one, and adios.